Hi everyone, this is part 4 of Roald Dahl's The Magic Finger. But to eat an apple without holding it in your hands is not at all easy. Every time you try to get your teeth into it, it just pushes away. In the end, they were able to get a few small bites of each, and then it began to get dark, so they all flew back to the nest and lay down to sleep. It must have been about the time that I, back in my own house, picked up the telephone and tried to call Philip. I wanted to see if the family was all right. "Hello," I said. "Quack," said a voice at the other end. "Who is it?" I asked. "Quack, quack." "Philip," I said. "Is that you?" "Quack, quack, 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 quack." "Oh, stop it," I said. Then there came a very funny noise. It was like a bird laughing. I put down the telephone quickly. "Oh, that magic finger," I cried. "What has it done to my friends?" That night, while Mr. and Mrs. Gregg and Philip and William were trying to get some sleep up in the high nest, a great wind began to blow. The tree rocked from side to side, and everyone, even Mr. Gregg, was afraid that the nest would fall down. Then came the rain. It rained and rained, and the water ran into the nest, and they all got as wet as could be. And oh, it was a bad, bad night. At last the morning came, and with it the warm sun. "Well," said Mrs. Gregg, "thank goodness that's over. I never want to sleep in a nest again." She got up and looked over the side. "Help!" she cried. Look down there." "What is it, my love?" said Mr. Gregg. He stood up and peeped over the side. He got the surprise of his life. On the ground below them stood 4 enormous ducks, as tall as men, and 3 of them were holding guns in their hand. One had Mr. Gregg's gun, one had Philip's gun, and the other had William's gun. The guns were all pointing right up at the nest. "No, no, no," called Mr. and Mrs. Gregg, both together. "Don't shoot. Please don't shoot." "Why not?" said one of the ducks. It was the one who wasn't holding the gun. "You were always shooting at us." "Oh, but that's not the same," said Mr. Gregg. "We are allowed to shoot ducks." "Who allows you?" asked the duck. "We allow each other," said Mr. Gregg. "Very nice," said the duck. "And now we are going to allow each other to shoot you." I would have loved to have seen Mr. Gregg's face just then. "Oh, please," cried Mrs. Gregg. "My 2 little children are up here with us. You wouldn't shoot my children." "Yesterday you shot my children," said the duck. "You shot all 6 of my children." "I'll never do it again," cried Mr. Gregg. "Never, never, never." "Do you really mean that?" asked the duck. "I do mean it," said Mr. Gregg. "I'll never shoot another duck as long as I live." "That's not good enough," said the duck. "What about deer?" "I'll do anything you say if you will only put down those guns," cried Mr. Gregg. "I'll never shoot another duck or another deer or anything else again." "Will you give me your word on that?" said the duck. I will, said Mr. Gregg. "Will you throw away your guns?" asked the duck. "I will break them into tiny bits," said Mr. Gregg, "and never again need you be afraid of me or my family." "Very well," said the duck. "You may now calm down. And by the way, may I congratulate you on the nest? For a first effort, it's pretty good." Mr. and Mrs. Gregg and Philip and William hopped out of the nest and flew down. Then, all at once, everything went black before their eyes and they couldn't see. At the same time, a funny feeling came over them all, and they heard a great wind blowing in their ears. Then the black that was there before their eyes turned to blue, to green, to red, and then to gold, and then suddenly there they were, standing in a lovely bright sunshine in their own garden, near their own house, and everything was back to normal again, once again. "Our wings have gone," cried Mr. Greg, "and our arms have come back." "And we are not tiny any more," laughed Mrs. Greg. "Oh, I am so glad." Philip and William began dancing about with joy. Then, high above their heads, they heard the call of a wild duck. They all looked up, and they saw the 4 birds, lovely against the blue sky, flying very close together, heading back to the lake in the woods. It must have been about half an hour later that I myself walked into the Greg's garden. I had come to see how things were going, and I must admit I was expecting the worst. At the gate I stopped and stared. It was a queer sight. We'll carry the rest on later. Bye-bye.